Willow Creek smelled like freshly cut grass and barbecue smoke, the kind of scent that made summer feel like it had parked itself right on your front porch. Sunlight streamed between the oaks lining Maple Street, and the neighbors were already awake, walking dogs, jogging, or just sitting in lawn chairs sipping coffee as if the world owed them nothing more than a calm Sunday. Tommy Rivers carried a small cardboard box out of his garage, grinning at the absurdity of it. The box wasn't particularly special, just one of those recycled delivery boxes from the hardware store, but today it was going to serve as the stage for a very important experiment. Baxter, his golden retriever, wagged his tail with near-explosive enthusiasm. His big, soft eyes fixed on the bone Tommy held, which looked comically oversized next to the tiny box. "All right, bud," Tommy said, kneeling in the driveway, "let's see if brains or brawn win today." The first attempt was a disaster. Baxter nudged, pawed, and shoved the bone into the box at every angle imaginable. The box rocked back and forth, squeaking under the pressure, but the bone refused to fit. Baxter's ears twitched with frustration, tail wagging like a helicopter rotor. From the porch, Mrs. Gladys Hinton, a 70-year-old retired schoolteacher in floral pajamas and slippers, shook her head. "I told you, Tommy. You're teaching him futility." Tommy ignored her. "Sometimes, Gladys, you just have to find the right angle." Neighbors began to gather naturally, drawn by laughter and chaos. Jake and Ellie Turner, twin teenagers, leaned against the picket fence, smartphones ready. "This is gonna be viral," Jake whispered. The first round of attempts ended with Baxter laying belly down on the driveway, head on his paws, bone inches from the box. The sun glinted off the golden fur, giving him an almost heroic halo. Tommy patted him gently. "Don't give up, buddy. The world needs more stubbornness and less perfection." Narrator: In Willow Creek, determination was a language everyone understood. Sometimes it came in 2 legs, sometimes in 4. Baxter tried again, this time lifting the box with his nose, thinking perhaps the key was moving the world around him rather than the bone. The box flopped onto its side, the bone bounced halfway to the mailbox. Laughter rippled through the gathered neighbors. The dog's frustration was palpable, but oddly endearing. Children clapped as Baxter executed a desperate jump, slamming the box against the garage door. The box dented, the bone still wouldn't fit, but now the dog was committed to every angle like a tiny, furry engineer. By mid-morning, the small community had fully embraced the spectacle. Lawn chairs had migrated to the driveway, coffee mugs in hand. Harold and June Porter, the elderly couple down the street, cheered, waving their hands. "You can do it, boy." Tommy finally knelt, examining the box himself. "Maybe it's not about forcing it," he murmured. "Maybe it's about adjusting your expectations." Baxter's next attempt was symbolic. He carried the box across the driveway, dug a hole beside the flowerbed, and tried to bury it with the bone still in his mouth. It was a comic failure, a tangle of paws, bone, and box flipping over like a slapstick routine. Laughter erupted again. Narrator: Sometimes, life hands you a box too small for your ambitions. And sometimes, a dog will teach you that trying everything, even absurdly, matters more than fitting neatly inside expectations. By afternoon, everyone had a stake in the experiment. Neighbors brought water bowls, treats, and encouragement. Even Tommy's brother, Kyle, wandered over in a Hawaiian shirt, holding a small fan to cool Baxter. The final attempt of the day was a mixture of strategy, luck, and sheer stubbornness. Baxter, bone clenched, approached the box sideways, twisted, pawed, and somehow, against physics, logic, and small-town decorum, managed to wedge the bone into the box at a miraculous angle. The box bulged, wobbled, and stood upright, victorious. Cheering erupted across Maple Street. Children jumped up and down, adults clapped, and Mrs. Gladys Hinton shook her cane in mock outrage. Tommy lifted Baxter like a champion, holding him high. Narrator: And sometimes, just sometimes, the impossible fits if you don't stop trying, even if your arms are 4 paws and a tail long. The morning after Baxter's miraculous triumph, Willow Creek had a certain kind of glow, the kind only small towns get when news of a local legend spreads organically. It wasn't in the newspapers yet, but it didn't need to be. Across Maple Street, neighbors were still chuckling over the previous day's antics, sipping coffee on porches, or laughing at slow-motion phone videos of Baxter flopping dramatically on the driveway. Tommy Rivers stepped out in his usual work jeans and faded red t-shirt, the early sun catching the streaks of mud from yesterday's epic battle. Baxter trotted beside him, bone now safely secured in a toy chest in the corner of the garage, tail wagging with the calm pride of someone who just conquered impossible odds. Narrator: in Willow Creek, greatness sometimes wore 4 paws and a goofy grin. Today wasn't about a box, though. It was about taking that stubborn determination and applying it to the town itself. Word had spread that the Maple Street community garden, ravaged by last month's torrential rain, needed help. Gardens overgrown, fences leaning, flower beds washed away, a small setback that had everyone sighing. Tommy, inspired by Baxter's persistence, decided to organize a little neighborhood rescue mission. By mid-morning, a crowd had assembled. Kids with gloves and watering cans, elderly neighbors wielding trowels and folding chairs, and even Mayor Frank Driscoll, who wore a fluorescent vest over his usual apron, holding a clipboard like a ceremonial sword. Baxter ran circles around everyone, occasionally carrying tiny gardening tools or sticks in his mouth, as if leading the charge. Every time someone bent down to plant, Baxter would wag, snort, and try to help, inevitably stepping in the flower beds and triggering another round of laughter. Mrs. Gladys Hinton provided the narration. That dog thinks he's the mayor. And honestly, he's doing a better job. Tommy laughed, distributing small packets of seeds. Sometimes, he said, you learn the best lessons from the most unexpected teachers. Children giggled as Baxter attempted to drag a garden rake twice his size, the handle bouncing comically into the air and narrowly missing Ellie Turner, who rolled away dramatically. Narrator: life, like a bone in a small box, rarely fits neatly into the plans you make. But every pull, twist, and flop can be a chance to grow, if you're willing to laugh along the way. By noon, the garden was transformed in miniature. Flower beds upright, soil tilled, small wooden trellises repaired. Baxter, exhausted, flopped in the shade, tongue lolling, tail brushing petals he had trampled in heroic effort. Tommy stood back, hands on hips, watching neighbors interact, laugh, and share ice-cold lemonade. He noticed the old Porters teaching the kids how to prune, the Turners handing out sun hats, and Jesse Palmer organizing a line to carry mulch. The town's small, messy, human rhythm was beautiful, the kind of scene painters tried to capture but never quite could. Narrator: sometimes, success isn't about the size of the box or the strength of the pull. It's about the community that bends, laughs, and grows with you. The afternoon heat brought more mishaps, a rogue sprinkler spraying unsuspecting passersby, Baxter sneezing into the compost pile, a tomato plant toppling over, but nobody minded. Each little failure became an anecdote, a shared laugh, and a reason for high fives. By late afternoon, the final moment arrived, the ceremonial planting of the victory sunflower, a symbolic flower representing Baxter's dogged persistence and the town's collaborative spirit. Tommy knelt with Baxter beside him. Together, they lowered the sunflower into the soil. Narrator: Baxter may have tried to fit a bone into a box, but the lesson wasn't the box. It was about trying, failing, and trying again, and bringing everyone along for the ride. The community gathered around. Laughter, applause, and camera phones captured the moment. Baxter's tail wagged like a metronome, marking perfect timing. Children circled him, adults smiled, and the late summer sun cast a golden glow across Maple Street. Tommy looked down at Baxter. You know, buddy, he said, scratching behind the ears, sometimes you don't need to make it fit. You just need to keep pulling, twisting, and believing it'll work eventually. The dog gave a contented sigh, the kind only a fully satisfied, heroic canine can produce. Narrator closing, and sir, in Willow Creek, a dog and his human reminded everyone that stubbornness isn't foolish if it's paired with heart, laughter, and community. Sometimes, life hands you a box too small for your dreams. But with persistence, humor, and a few helping hands, sometimes four-legged, even the impossible can fit. The sun dipped below the rooftops, the sky streaked with purple and gold. Baxter lay sprawled across the freshly tended garden, Tommy beside him, neighbors chatting nearby, and Willow Creek felt like the perfect mix of chaos, laughter, and quiet triumph. Final thought: every small box, every stubborn attempt, and every messy flop is a chance to rise, sometimes alone, sometimes with the whole town pulling alongside you.
Like and subscribe if you want to be happy and motivate.